today we are on a road trip to one of California's most visited destinations, Yermo. No, never heard of Yermo. Yermo is off I-15 just outside of Barstow on the way to Vegas. And it is home to several attractions, some more famous than others. One of the most famous attractions being Eddie World, of course. Calico Ghost Town, which is right behind us. But we're going to show you some not so famous attractions and some things you may not even know about. A sculpture garden, the very first Del Taco, and a bunch of quirky other weird things in the greater Yermo-Daggett Newberry Springs area. So let's head on out. We're going to start here first, though, at Calico. Let's go up, because we're downstairs. The main entrance is on the hill above us. And this town was founded in 1881 after silver was found up in these hills by 4 prospectors that were coming out of Barstow. One of those founding prospectors was actually Walter Knott's uncle. The Silver King mine was established by the mid-1800s. There was almost 1,200 people living here with 500 mines up in the hills. In the late 1800s, the government imposed strict regulations on the price of silver, which drove down the cost significantly. It no longer made sense to mine silver in this location, and by the early 1900s, the place was pretty much a ghost town. Fast forward to 1940s, and Walter Knott and Cordelia Knott were in Buena Park building Knott's Berry Farm. Walter Knott loved ghost towns, so he developed Calico at Knott's Berry Farm. In the 1950s, Walter Knott ended up purchasing Calico Ghost Town from the company that had tried to mine it years earlier. In 1881, Calico lives again. Under the auspices of Knott's Berry Farm, Buena Park, California, buildings shall be rebuilt on their original sites. Walter Knott dedicating Calico Ghost Town to the memory of the heroic silver miners who lived and toiled here. The preservation of this singular California heritage is also dedicated to you, the visitor, as a constant source of learning and enjoyment. Please respect this historical property, Walter Knott. So in 1951, Walter Knott and his son Russell, along with Paul Van Cleben, who was the artistic director for Knott's Berry Farm, they came out here to Calico and started to restore the buildings that were remaining, and the ones that had been removed, they started to rebuild based on old photographs, Walter Knott's memory, and the help of residents that used to live here at Calico that were still in the area. By 1966, the restoration was complete, and Walter Knott donated the property and the restored ghost town to the county of San Bernardino as use as a county park, and that's what it is today, still standing. There's a lot of little gift shops, some attractions like the Maggie Mine you can go into, you can ride the train. There's a mystery shack, very similar to the Haunted Shack at Knott's Berry Farm, but there's a big restaurant called the Calico House, which has amazing food, by the way. There's an old schoolhouse, a couple museums, a lot of stuff to look at. You can climb up onto the top of some of the rocks and look at the mines. This is a California Registered Historical Landmark number 782.
Howdy folks, this is Hard Rock Harris, and I'm here with Mrs. Annie Rickard, 2 miners from Calico's heyday. We would like to welcome you aboard the Calico and Odessa Railroad.
The tunnel or drift you're standing in was dug in 1880 by 2 brothers expecting to find silver after drifting more than 500 feet into the mountain.
I hear it back in 1881. Some gentlemen were sitting around town hall discussing names, and not liking any of them. Then one man said, "It's as pretty as a woman's calico skirt." Right then and there, they knew they found the name, Calico.
hope you enjoyed that tour of Calico and a look at the history and some of the similarities between Calico and Knott's Berry Farm. While Calico may have the distinction of being Yermo's oldest historic landmark, probably the most recognizable attraction is the new Eddy World right off the I-15, billed as California's largest gas station. You can't miss it. There's the 15 on the way to Vegas. Barstow's that way, Vegas is that way. And the giant water tower shaped like an ice cream cone. They do have Tesla charging here as well as electric vehicle charging. The Tesla charging are way back there on the other side. The electric vehicle charging is right here. And they've got multiple gas pumps back there. And there's another Eddy World in Beatty, Nevada, which I think may actually be bigger than this. I've been to that one too, but this one has a giant ice cream cone. Looks like the gas pumps are close. It says $4.99, which is not that cheap. I know other stations in Yermo are a little bit cheaper right now. So I think I'm okay on gas to get back to LA, but we may just tank up at some of the other stations. But if you're looking for a clean bathroom, tons of candy, kind of something fun, there's some food in there, ice cream, pizzas, all sorts of things. So let's head on in, use the restroom, and check out what it looks like inside of Eddy World in Yermo. That was Eddy World. Inside you'll find every kind of candy and snack possible. There's stuffed animals, toys for the kids. There's fresh made beef jerky. There's homemade ice cream, and they had vegan options, vegan and non-dairy options, as well as regular flavors. So if you have some dietary restrictions, the bathrooms are pretty clean. They have fresh pizza, homemade chicken tenders. There's a popcorn counter. Everything you could possibly think of is inside. There's a few other places to eat here, though, in Yermo. One is Peggy Sue's Diner and then Penny's Diner. We're going to show you both of those. Let's head over there now. Yermo's other claim to fame, Tita's Burger Den. Little small roadside stand. And what actually makes this place so famous is it was the first Del Taco that opened in September 1964. Opening day of Casa del Taco, they made $164, which doesn't seem like a lot by today's standards, but it was so much that they actually opened 2 more locations in Barstow. So Tita's is known for their burgers now. They're supposed to have really good hard shell tacos, which they were out of shells, but their carne asada tacos are supposed to be delicious. Let's try the carne asada. Yes. Little salsa verde on the side. This is a really good carne asada street taco. That was Tita's Burger Den. If you drive by it, or you're on your way to Vegas and think of stopping, if you pull up, don't be afraid. It looks like kind of an old roadside stand, but it is immaculately clean. It's family run. The food is really good. In fact, it gets 4.5 stars on Yelp and 5 stars on Google because it's actually a really cool place. And the history of it, 1964 Del Taco, makes it even cooler. But those carne asada tacos were delicious. So were those fried zucchini. Head on to our next stop. The Liberty Sculpture Park Foundation is a California nonprofit established in 2018 in the desert town of Yermo. A public park of considerable size was established. Liberty Sculpture Park is a base for the promotion of democracy, freedom, and human rights established by the Chinese overseas, and a memorial ground for communist victims. The 64 sculpture in the park towers into the sky and can be seen by people coming and going on 15. In addition to making the large commemorative sculptures, the foundation will also establish a memorial hall storing text, pictures, and objects from all over the world. The sculpture park rests right next to I-15, literally right next to the freeway. That's how I noticed it coming to Vegas a couple weeks ago. And I've seen some of the sculptures, but it's grown over the years. One of the sculptures was burned to the ground, and this pavilion is also in response to that, but I won't get into that. So do your own research. I'm just here specifically to see the sculptures because it looked interesting as kind of a different roadside attraction. The 64 was for the date of Tiananmen Square, June 4th, That's what that one is for. That's the biggest sculpture. It's all related to freedom and against the Chinese Communist Party. So again, research what it's all about. I won't get into it here. It looks like as if there is another sculpture obviously coming here. This base for it is huge, so I don't know what this is going to be, but it looks like it's going to be rather large. So this sculpture over here was burned to the ground. I'm not going to show you what it is to avoid any kind of political rumblings on my YouTube page. But it looked like a huge structure. So as you can see, the artists are very vocal about their opinions on the current political leadership in China, the issues with Hong Kong, the Beijing Olympics. So I'm just here to check out the sculptures and not debate what's right or wrong, just to look and show you another quirky roadside attraction here in Yermo. If you didn't want to walk from sculpture to sculpture, you can easily drive. I mean, it's all dirt, but it's wide and graded, so you don't have to get out of the car. I'd say it's a little creepy. You're right next to the freeway, and Eddie World is like a block that way, but there's nobody around here at all. And I keep seeing these statues, and I keep thinking there's people, and I'm kind of freaking out, to be honest with you. So I'm going to head back to the car. But if you want to stop and see this is interesting. And again, research each piece and the history behind it and make your own decisions. But it's very, very interesting anyway. Something you definitely wouldn't see anywhere else, that's for sure. So there are actually a lot of people that live in Yermo, and what keeps Yermo's economy thriving, obviously, is the I-15, but there is a Marine base here directly across the street from where we're sitting. It is the Marine Corps base Barstow's Logistics Annex. So if you're looking for something over there at Tita's Burger Den and they're sold out, it's because the Marines wiped them out. They actually told me that's why they had no tacos and they had no lids for the sodas today, because the Marines were in there earlier. Another place the Marines love is this Peggy Sue's Diner, which is right in front of us. We're going to head inside. It's a 50s diner. Outdoor area. They've got an ice cream counter, a big, huge gift shop, and there's also a Knott's Berry Farm tied to this place as well. Let's go inside and check it out. I have not seen one of these since I was in elementary school. This diner opened in 1954, and the current owners moved to Yermo in 1981, and one of the owners worked at Knott's Berry Farm. They bought this diner, restored it, and opened it in 1987. And it's been a favorite stop for those going to Las Vegas ever since. There's a pizza parlor. You can actually order your pizza online before you get here if you want to do it quickly. There's multiple rooms of the diner inside. As you saw, there's a gift shop, ice cream counter. They've got all the fun stuff outside to see. So make sure you stop here at Peggy Sue's in Yermo for a quick ice cream, dinner, lunch, breakfast, and soak in the history and some more Knott's Berry Farm connections. So as I mentioned, the Marine base is directly across the street, and they actually deliver the pizza to the base. My dad and I come out every year and spend a few nights here in Yermo. It's a really good home base if you're heading out to the desert or Death Valley. Yermo has one hotel. Of course, there's a ton right down the road in Barstow, like 5 minutes away. But if you're in Yermo, there's only one hotel. It used to be called the Oak Tree Inn, then it turned to the Baymont Inn, which was Wyndham, and now it's a Travelodge. It just changed again. They're doing some work on the outside, so hopefully they're fixing it up a little bit. That hotel is attached to a diner called Penny's Diner. And there's a ton of billboards on the freeway for Peggy Sue's, and people get off and end up at Penny's. Penny's is like a small version of, let's say, a Denny's it was a hotel chain attached to those oak tree inns. Small, a few booths, counter. It looks like your typical 50s diner, so I think that's why people get confused. But Peggy Sue's is the big one. Penny's is hooked to the hotel. So if you're looking for Peggy Sue's, you're in the wrong spot if you see a hotel. But I will say the service is usually really good at Penny's. My dad and I have eaten there multiple times. The service is usually really friendly and the food is really decent. It's strictly diner food. Don't go expecting a gourmet meal at all. But I will show you Penny's Diner attached to the Travelodge, which is literally 2 blocks that way on the other side of the AM/PM. If you're looking for cheap gas on the way to Vegas, the cheapest that I found is a station called the Las Vegas Truck Stop. But it's actually a Moshen gas station, M-O-S-H-E-N. It's right off the freeway on Ghost Town Road, so if you're heading to Vegas, turn right. There's no signs, it looks like it's out of business, and you cannot pay at the pump, you have to go in. But they always have the cheapest gas, and right now it is, I don't know how much it is because the sign's not up there, but I can guarantee you it's cheaper than the Arco across the street. So let me go and put 20 bucks in because it's going to be cheaper than it is at home. So the gas was $4.59. There's the front door, but you can't go in the front door. You got to go in the back. As you saw, there's some marine vehicles parked at the gas pumps. The marine base here in Yermo moves equipment in and out via the railroad. And the Travelodge that we stay at across the street that I was telling you about is always completely filled. You're like, who on earth would stay in Yermo? And it's usually at capacity every night because the Union Pacific Railroad workers stay there. They have a contract with them. So the diner at the hotel is always busy with railroad employees and the Marines from the Marine base. Out of all the times I've been to Yermo, I've never seen this thrift shop open, so I went in today. Look what I found. It's a handmade, hand-painted Lucy statue from 1970. It's got the artist's name on there, so I don't know if it was officially licensed or somebody made it, but it was really cool, and it was only $6, so I had to get it. Then I also found this Snoopy glass. This looks like it was maybe from like a restaurant promotion, but it doesn't have a name on it. Snoopy eating a sub sandwich and some spaghetti. That was a find too. And then wait for it, it's a vintage Knott's Berry Farm souvenir penny collection with pennies in it. Bigfoot Rapids, the Peanuts characters, Halloween Haunt. Anybody know what year this is from? One of the most fascinating things about Yermo, besides having a restored actual ghost town, is there's parts of town that look like a modern day ghost town, as evidenced by this billboard here that I think maybe once said Calico or something, and I think this was the site of a gas station. Let's go explore some of these abandoned places here in the town of Yermo. This is what I believe to be, now correct me if I'm wrong, the old inspection station. When you come in from Nevada, right now at the border you go through and they check for agriculture. This used to be actually on the freeway, but before that I believe it was here. But this has just been left, which is really strange. But there's a lot of stuff in Yermo that looks like this. I would go look at this closer, but the sign on the door says, "This ain't Mayberry, we shoot." Now this is somewhere I've never been. We're just outside of Yermo in Daggett, just a couple miles away. Daggett's another small town, but it's off of I-40. So I-40 and I-15 come to a triangular intersection in Barstow, and they separate. If you go to I-40, you go towards Kingman. If you go I-15, you go towards Las Vegas, and they're only a couple miles apart in this part of town between like Yermo and Newberry Springs, Daggett area. So we are on the Daggett side of Yermo, and this is the Barstow-Daggett Airport, which I believe is still in operation because there's a office building with people at it. But this looks like it was an old airport hangar, like you just pulled your airplane right into it. Airplane hangar, I meant to say. This is kind of cool. I think you can drive on the other side. So we've gone as far as we can this way because the office is there and the runway is literally right behind me. And then there's a water tower with some buildings, and there's some really cool old boarded up houses. I'm not sure what those were for. Maybe this was part of a military base at one time. I'm not sure. Right now it's part of San Bernardino County Airports. And there's some picnic tables there. So I guess you can sit and watch the planes take off, but I don't know how many you're going to see today, but this is pretty cool. So add this to your list of things to see when you're in Yermo. I'm not sure what this was used for, but one of the signs says something about Army operations. And there's a row of houses here, and there's a bunch of streets that have nothing on them. So maybe this was a military base. If you know what this area was used for at the Barstow-Daggett Airport, let me know, because this is really fascinating. But that's a modern satellite dish right there, but it's all fenced off, and I'm not going to try to trespass into that. Behind that airplane hangar, and the road goes back and it's fenced off with all kinds of cameras, and there's a million cars back there. I think it's some sort of army installation. There's old railroad tracks over here too that have been abandoned. It's supposed to have been some kind of base, but I'm not going to go any further. As we wrap up this video here in Yermo, we didn't even touch what there is to see in Daggett. Daggett's kind of a small little town just south of here. It'll take you just a few minutes to go through there, but it's some abandoned buildings, some abandoned gas stations. Make sure you stop by there. And then Barstow could be a whole nother video with all of its museums, its railroad history, Route 66. There's a lot to see there. So you might want to schedule a day in Barstow also. And right down the road in Newberry Springs, another fun place to explore is the old Rockahula Water Park. It started as Lake Dolores, which was an outdoor recreation area. And then I believe in the 90s, they added a water park onto it, and it didn't last very long. But that water park is still there, minus the slides. And you're not supposed to, but you can walk through and see all the buildings and where the slides were. And it's all graffitied and destroyed. So it is fenced off. I actually just drove by there. There were a bunch of people walking around, even though they shouldn't have been. There was somebody loading up a truck that probably wasn't supposed to be there. But it is fully fenced now, and it says no trespassing, so I didn't want to go in. But I will insert some pictures from previous visits. I've been there a few times. And you've probably passed that on the way to Vegas too, or coming back. So that's something else to see over in Newberry Springs, is the old Rockahula Water Park. That is it from here in Yermo. I hope you enjoyed this video, something a little bit different than we normally do. If you liked it, give it a big thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And if you are, make sure that notification bell is on. You can follow us on social media at theFUNnelCakeBlog on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Next time you're on your way to Vegas, spend a few hours here in Yermo. Stop at some of the restaurants, go to Calico, and browse the thrift shop. Or just make a day. It's not that far. It's only 2 hours from downtown LA and only about an hour from like San Bernardino area. So check it out. That's it from Yermo. Thanks for watching. As I head out of town, I had to stop really fast. If you're spending the night in Barstow or in Yermo, open seasonally is the Skyline 2-screen drive-in on Old Highway 58. They are cash only, but they are family run. The prices are incredibly reasonable. I came in one night and ordered a popcorn and a soda. I think they said it was like $5. And I was like, did you get both? And they're like, yeah. I was like, okay. So if you're in the area and want to have an old school drive-in experience, the Skyline drive-in right here, it's right off I-15, but it's on Old Highway 58. It's the Skyline drive-in. Support them. It's a family-run business. It's neat that it's still here, and be happy that it is. So this is on the Yermo side of Barstow as you head out towards Vegas.